Welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Ben Slinger, and loving it as always is Trevor Scott. The most catchiest 5 notes ever, as we were just discussing off air. So, I've got a little bit of a theme that I thought I'd bring up this week.
Time loop games, because we've just seen, like, I've just seen Groundhog Day. You're about to see Groundhog Day.
No.
Okay.
I mean, we could bring, if that comes up, that we could do that. But
maybe that'll be next week, because we've both seen it by then.
Yeah, that's a good idea. No, what I was thinking is, so often when I'm browsing TikTok, as we all do in this day and age.
Well, I don't.
Oh, well, you got to get on those talks, baby.
I've got to get on those talks.
That's what all the cool kids are saying.
My son watches and I don't. So maybe I'll get on those talks. But yes, go ahead.
And I'll often come across people streaming.
Yep.
And so this applies to Twitch and stuff, just streaming in general. But a couple of types of games have sort of jumped out at me recently as being particularly popular among the streamers, or at least being pushed to me on the algorithm. One of them is like horror games, which is, is interesting. I think there's something about watching somebody play a horror game where there's just, often they're trying to figure out what's changed. I saw one where there's a creature chasing the guy, but you can only see it when you like flash a light. You essentially have like a camera flash, which has a cooldown. So that was kind of interesting. The other one is when it's just an interesting mechanic, like a small little game that just has a single interesting mechanic that the streamer probably won't play it for long, but it's fun enough that kind of, they give it some engagement and it's enjoyable to watch someone go through. And the one I saw there recently was one I sent you. I don't know if you ended up looking at it, which was called The Professional. Came out like a year ago, but essentially it's a QWOP-esque kind of game where you're a cat burglar coming in to steal a diamond, but the way you control it is literally just by dragging each limb, being able to like rotate the joints and drag the limb, and you have to get like over laser barriers and things. So
nice.
So I thought maybe we could just, the general theme being stream-worthy games, like games that I think we think would, go well on stream, particularly if they're smaller games.
Yep.
Yeah. That was a long-winded explanation, but
for stream-worthy games, yes.
Yeah.
But cool. I like that. I like that a lot. So let's pull up our random word generator, which will give us some prompts that we can go from. I think, given that we've got the other string-worthy thing, that we go with classic click pitch, where we just get the single word.
Single word each.
We'll do word plus, so we can choose whether we want an adjective or a noun or whatever else.
Yeah, let's do it. 3, 2, 1, click.
Demonstration.
Putt. As in golfing.
Ooh.
Mini golf, perhaps.
So, what part of demonstration would work well with streaming? I mean, we know that golf with your friends and all those sort of things have gone really quite well. Like, they're pretty typical things that you can get people watching and all that sort of stuff.
I definitely think, I'm not sure where the demonstration comes into it, but I definitely think a mini golf game where there's those layers of frustration of trying to get a shot right could work well with stream. What twist can we put on it? Yeah, where is this demonstration perhaps? Is this perhaps... Yeah, like, are you... I know we've had this previously. I think we were talking VR, but... you're getting around by having to putt the ball places or something, or maybe...
Yeah. I kind of like the idea of a mini golf game, but instead of, like, kind of similar to Rocket League in the fact that you're using a car to move the ball around. Something different for the golf club. and maybe the size you are is a lot smaller, kind of like a Katamari Damacy sort of thing. Of it's a huge golf ball, and you've got something there that you need to do to move.
Maybe. This is taking the prompt in a slightly different direction, or at least morphing it. But as we know, they're just jumping off points.
Just jumping off. Just so jump off.
Instead of demonstration, I thought demolition. Maybe you have to plant explosives on this rather large ball to launch it into the particular direction.
Yeah, I love it.
So, like, having to... whether it's just, like, throwing C4 and then hitting that detonator and boom, off it goes.
100%. Like, throwing that off and sort of going, okay... Oh, I've put too much there, and you can't. Once you put them there, it's like
no, you can't take it off.
You can't take it off, so you got to put more elsewhere to like combat that. And yep.
Okay, I like that. So,
so it's definitely more about it's the payload, like of explosives. Like you strap a nuke to that thing is fucking moving.
You can, if you do it right, you can get a hole-in-one on hole 18 from hole 1.
Okay. What I love is the explosions. What you need... I still think this ball is fucking huge. And...
pretty big, yeah.
So you can set up your drone and you can work out, okay, this is the hole, this is where we are, this is where you're sort of going. So you can sort of line up your shot and go, okay... With the drone, I've sort of laser pointed, I've got
I think you can maybe put down some marks. You've got a directional arrow. Like if you mark something with the drone and then go back down to your like first person view where the ball is towering over you, you've got like a pointer that's pointing to the direction. You know which direction you've marked and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay. When you get ready to hit the button, you have to get into cover.
Oh, there's debris and stuff.
Or you ragdoll. Like, so it's all about, getting into the bomb shelter sort of thing. And especially, if you're going this one level, you've got nuclear waste and that you've only got nuclear bombs. Like, so you've got to wear a hazmat suit. And that is harder to get around.
You can't throw as hard, can't throw as far. Yeah, one level you've got like the timed bombs. So you have to throw them down as quickly as possible to get that. Like, once you've thrown one, you've got a certain amount of time before that's going to go off and start blasting that ball. So if you want to, like, if you miss or you want to change the direction a bit, Yeah, you've got 30 seconds till it goes off, and all the bombs that you got to get in your hand are basically... they're all linked to the same timer. So you're like throwing the different ones down. Okay, so you also have to use them all up or you will die. You have to have thrown them somewhere. What I was thinking as well, I also like the idea that like you're on an 18-hole mini golf course, but you can do them in any order. Like if you blast that ball in the wrong direction and it lands on hole 3, you can sink hole 3. You're just going to have to go back at some point and sink hole 1 to actually finish the course.
Exactly. Yeah.
So just to account for the possible mass explosions that end up happening
and maybe
across these holes.
There are actual holes in this game that are better suited to that. Like there's a massive obstacle in the way, and you're better off actually. You've finished hole 1. You're better off getting to hole 3, finishing that, coming back, and then it lines up very nicely for hole 4. To move forward.
Yeah, definitely. I think the speedrunners will find, the optimal paths through to avoid...
You know what I would love? I would love there to be a level where they can throw down as much C4 and shit as they'd like, and they can actually sort of go, okay, we're going to put 2 here, and then... have a timed bomb over here so that when it goes over here, it gets launched over here and lands in there. And, they basically, like a Rube Goldberg machine, just set this one off and then set this one off and then set this one off. And
well, maybe that's unlockable stuff. Like maybe it's that you can unlock a second detonator or something. So from one shot, it counts as one shot.
Yeah.
If you detonate one, it goes flying through the air. If you've aimed it right, you can detonate the second at the right time and launch it off in a different direction.
And then when it lands in the hole, you hit another one and it launches it up out of the hole.
You can technically do multiple holes from one shot.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
I'm 100% there.
I think also you can, depending on what it is, you can destroy some of the obstacles. It's like, oh, this fucking windmill, like I can't get the timing right. Oh, all right, this hole, I'm just going to throw C4 onto the blades of the windmill. They're gone.
Destroy the windmill, and now you don't have the obstacle there anymore.
Exactly.
This is so much fun. Like, it's the idea of you start playing it normally, and then you realize, oh, this is fully destructible. Like,
yeah. But of course, like throwing a bunch of C4 and hitting the detonator, that's one shot. It can be anywhere. You could, if you do it, I mean, and there may be timers, and obviously you'd work out the balance of it, but your one shot could be C4 on the, you've made a run for it to the windmill, C4 on all that, come back, C4 on your ball, hit the button. And if you make that shot, that's one shot. That's fine. You've destroyed, you got the windmill out of the way and you managed to throw that on there appropriately. But
if you put the C4 down on the windmill and hit the button, it's like stroke one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Even if the ball didn't move.
Yep.
Totally.
Oh, because you swung. You swung at the ball. You swung at the ball from a long fucking way away. And I think another unlockable is a jetpack. Because I love the idea of just being able to...
Just for getting around and
getting yourself up higher a little bit and all this sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think traversal and movement would be some sort of upgrades. Your different types of bombs maybe, or maybe you limit that as maybe those are game modes of some sort, or to do with the course. So different courses have different types of explosives available.
You know the classic bomb shape, which is the round sort of thing?
Yeah, with the fuse, yeah.
Yeah, with the fuse. They roll around. Mm-hmm. Because they're round. Like, you can throw them, and you're not going to guarantee, unless you hold it longer and wait until the last second to then throw it, like...
Yeah, but, of course, if you throw it early and it rolls out of the way, you can go and pick it back up again.
Yeah.
But you're running the risk of...
a hot potato, yeah.
Right, yeah. But you're running the risk of it exploding in your hands or too close to you.
Yeah.
And, you've also got... maybe you take penalties or something for dying.
I don't know why I'm seeing literally your normal character is in like a bomb disposal suit. Sort of walking around and placing this shit down.
Again, maybe that's an upgrade. It slows you down, but... you're much less likely to die from an explosion.
What I also love about it is, and where my mind is going now, what if there's other explosives that you have to like cover to make sure they don't get exploded because there's an explosive on like a damn wall or something like that, and if your explosion happens to set that off, all of a sudden the whole thing's flooded and it's just even harder. So it's now, okay, what sort of obstacle can I put up in the way here?
Yeah, or just having to be really careful about making sure no explosives go there, and that maybe the golf ball doesn't hit it. Maybe the golf ball itself. Maybe they're just fucking like plunger detonators around the place. That if the golf ball hits them, they just set off massive explosions and fuck up your swing.
For some reason, I love the idea of when you go down into the hole, it actually sort of drops down and puts you directly onto the next hole.
It's like going into a toilet in Fortnite or a manhole. You just like go through a tube and pop out back at the tee.
Yeah. So it just sort of rolls and it just sits quite nicely on the next tee, and that way.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, the ball as well, I guess. I was thinking about you because you obviously are like
having to
fairly
chase
small.
It.
Yeah, you're chasing it around for sure.
There's something about this. It's kind of cool. While you're waiting for the ball, like if it's hit a hill and you didn't get enough power up that hill, and it starts coming down, you need to Indiana Jones out of the way.
Yeah, you can fail based on this being crushed by a ball, certainly.
You can fail by being dropped from a big height. You can actually get in the way of other, like, I think there is a level in which you find out, oh no, this is a regular sized golf ball and this is a regular sized putt-putt.
And there are other people
there are people who are towering above you with putters that are playing through.
But if you time it right, you can speed run it. You can use them putting to launch yourself through the air to get to the next place that you need to hit that ball from.
Yeah.
So that you don't have to run there.
I don't know why, but I just love the idea of you get to the end of that thing and you see a playback from a person's point of view of you just see a ball go, pop. You get knocked around and it's like, how did that happen?
Or at the very least, you just get like a normal, like the normal scale view where, you see a little bit of smoke and then a regular putt. What seems like a regular putt just goes through this hole. I'm picturing, I think you obviously get golf carts that are your size as well, little mini golf carts that you drive around the green
exactly.
on.
You're right.
Yeah, mini golf carts, exactly.
Or is it micro golf carts?
I'm picturing the intro. I'm picturing the intro to this. You know, you're on a nice green. You get into your golf cart. You drive up over the hill, and as you drive over the hill, you just see the ball coming into view over this hill, this massive dome, as you realise the scale of it all, and then like the fog clears and you see the scale of the rest of the the mini golf course all out of focus because it's so far away, and like the atmospheric desaturation and stuff.
I think you can probably go further than just having explosives. Like you could have any sort of, like, maybe you got a wind gush machine sort of thing that you can set up to get the ball to get into like a wind tunnel sort of thing.
Yeah, you could have other, like, I was going to say traps, not quite traps, but like devices, I suppose, that you can maybe pre-set up, and it does create more of that Rube Goldberg-esque situation. But I think even just that core mechanic of throwing C4 onto a large golf ball, trying to figure out which direction it's going to go in. I mean, I think you maybe give it maybe
just having a go and just...
Oh, yeah. But I think you could do it that you get a bit of a... You know how in, like, Breath of the Wild, when you'd stasis something or whatever and then hit it, and the direction that you hit it would depend on which way it was going to go off, but it would change as you hit it from different directions to show you which way it was going to go. Yeah. You could maybe do that. Maybe it's a power-up to get that, or maybe... I think
it's a drone. You
just have to see to balance it. But
you have the drone do that sort of thing.
Yeah, maybe. But I think, like, as you're throwing the C4, you're getting a directional thing pointing out of the ball, potentially, to say, okay, you've got this much on this side, it's going to go off in this direction. You don't necessarily know the scale of it as such. Like, you obfuscate it a bit, but, you know, I think having a bit of an indicator there for how that would work would be necessary. But yeah, that's...
We've talked about this for quite a while, so let's...
It's a good one, I think, and I think it's very stream-worthy.
100%. Like, you could definitely have some Twitch integration there where you can have literally the viewers fucking with the person playing.
Yeah, if you want
to... Setting off additional explosions. Like, that'd be fun.
Yep.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, click.
Cool. Yeah. Alien.
Damnation.
Ooh, okay. This maybe falls a bit into the horror-ish sort of genre of the stream-worthy games.
Yeah, I like the idea of, like, maybe like a Farscape style, you know, someone's accidentally travelled to another world, has sort of crash landed on this world, and it's sort of desolate.
Yeah.
And it's this alien landscape that is look like it's war torn and all this sort of stuff. But and of course, as you're traveling around these buildings or exploring these buildings, something doesn't quite seem right.
Yeah, maybe a bit of a survival aspect. Actually, one of the other types of games that I have seen as well on these streams is these fairly simple survival type games where you kind of have to make a few decisions each day.
Okay.
Like who are you going to feed? What, open a box and decide what you're going to get out of it, or, these sorts of things. And it's kind of this strategy for lasting the longest based on the different interactions that can happen between events. So I don't know if we go that far to simplify it, but maybe it is about like surviving as long as you can after this crash landing.
Yep.
But then we bring in those horror aspects of, but there's something else out here that comes in, potentially on certain days or whatever, or like in certain situations based on the choices you've made. Well, and based on the choices you've made, whether you survive it or not, basically.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, there's something about, a desolate planet that scares me. Like,
oh yeah,
especially with alien looking buildings. Like, this doesn't look like it could be man made at all. It's just having to maybe it's one of these things where they've got like a people. This is one of the seed ships that have sort of gone out, and like everyone's been woken up from stasis as you've arrived at this destination, and this destination. This planet isn't, it's not empty like you thought it was going to be. It looks like it's a previously civilized planet but that nobody seems to be alive on anymore.
Yeah. It's like a doomed, failed civilization.
Yeah. With technology that you don't understand and all this sort of stuff. So you can definitely play around with, learning about this technology, but it's in a language that isn't English, and it's like,
I like that,
alien.
and I like if we do keep going with that sort of survival-esque resource allocation.
Well, that's why I changed it to a seed ship so that you could have those people.
Yeah, that's it. So if you're not finding enough resources to like replicate food or whatever it is, then you'll have people starting to starve. You've also got different people with different skills on the ship that you can maybe send out to scavenge for stuff, maybe learn the technology so that you can actually turn it to your own uses. I definitely love that idea of, there's something that really appeals to me in games about, turning an ancient alien technology to your own uses, that whole kind of, we managed to hook it up into our systems and get it working, and that discoverability of that.
But it's that whole Tunic thing of not understanding the language. And I really loved what that game did, and the fact that your character in Tunic was not the main character. Like, he was basically finding the manual pieces and then, like, stealing that technology for his own use. And it was really, really cool.
I need to play that again, actually. Yeah, I didn't get that far in it.
Do the same thing, but from a like survival aspect. But also the scariness comes from, what happens at night. What happens when maybe night lasts for a lot longer than what you expect. Like, the days aren't 24 hour. It's not 24-hour days. It's
you can't
48-hour days.
Oh, actually, I like the idea that your clocks are still 24 hours because they're based on your time, but it's uneven days potentially, or even just that it is they're a weird number of days. So it's like, they're 17 and a half hours long or something. So, the first day you're there, it's like, the sun's setting at 5:30 in the afternoon if you started at like midnight or whatever.
Yeah.
But the next day, the sun's going to set at what, like, what's 7.5 hours before that on your clock?
Yeah,
at like 10 a.m. or whatever, because unless you manually reset the clock or something, So there's sort of some adaptation that has to be there, and it's like, oh shit, did I reset the clock last night? Like, how long until it gets dark?
Yeah,
because it's always this manual thing.
And I like the idea of the sun being behind clouds sort of thing. So you can't really rely on, it's that diffused light throughout the whole world. So it's sort of like, I can't tell, how long has the sun actually been up for. And
for sure, yeah. Or maybe it's even like a binary system or something. And so, like, you get one really long day while one of them's going across and the other one goes around, like, you're going around it faster. I don't know. It probably doesn't make sense from the physics point of view, but what you end up with is like, 3 shortish days and then one really long day. Yeah. And so there's a calendar aspect then as well that you have to keep track of. Of like, oh shit, are we in the long day, or was that or has it been 2 or 3 days since the last long day?
I suppose the real pressing question that is right on the tip of my tongue is how many moons?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we know
and
what moons do to the tides work.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. No moons. The moons were all eaten. There is one giant ancient worm that also orbits your planet.
I find it so funny that none of our listeners will actually get it because that's from our D&D group.
No, that's a very in-joke. Yeah. Not even a podcast in-joke, just a personal in-joke.
Just a personal in-joke. And I love it.
I mean, it is alien. The prompt was alien, so we're alienating our audience. It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah. So Damnation is... I like the idea of, there's some religious... people on here who believe that, the rapture has happened on this planet.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so they're sort of spreading the whole thing of, we're damned for all time, we got here too late and everyone else has already been raptured and all this sort of stuff when,
you can choose to just throw them out in the heat of the long day. And... I forgot it was the long day and I sent you out on a scavenger, a scavenging trip and you never came back. And there's a short-term morale hit, but in the long term, the morale is generally better.
But there's something about, like, having those little interplaying sort of factions and that sort of stuff, like...
Yeah, I'm really picturing this as, a lot of this stuff is cool, and I think I like an element of maybe, again, sort of a first person, you walk around and you have to reset your clock over here or on the computer or whatever, and then you go and talk to your, like, your leader of the rest of the crew, and that's where you make the decisions about, okay, who are we sending out today? Like, you've got kind of a meeting. But it's all very much like just on that daily, making decisions for that day. Yeah, and then you kind of see how it plays out, essentially, or you wait for time to pass and...
do you send your science officer with your language officer over to investigate the computer? Or do you do it yourself because you think that you know everything and,
Yeah, you're the captain. You're arrogant. It's like, can I fuck this computer? You're very Captain Kirk-esque. Where is the fuck hole on this?
God. And on that 3, 2, 1 click. That's the name of the episode, isn't it? Where is the fuck hole?
Where is the fuck hole? I don't know if Apple will let us get away with that. Television.
Tube.
Ooh, okay. So definitely like a 80s vibe.
Yeah, because very tubular.
Tubular and
radical.
CR tubes. Gotta love those CR tubes.
I kind of like the idea of behind the screen there is just, in this universe, it's like a long tube that goes out to, the television station, because this is how they broadcast it. Like,
it has to be like... The tube has to be like the diameter of what's going to show up on the screen.
Exactly.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Thick TV.
Literally, it gets piped into your house, and it comes through the wall, and that's where it is.
It's essentially like a massive fiber optic cable. It's just bouncing the light along the cable, but they haven't figured out how to.
There's one channel. That's all there is, because
it's just whatever is broadcasting.
It's whatever is broadcasting.
Or maybe to change channels, you have to go outside and you've got like a big switch that like chunks the cable across to a different. It's like a train track thing.
So your massive remote, like you press the button on the remote, and you hear like
yeah, like this huge machinery switching it into place. That's if you're lucky enough to have a remote. The earlier ones, you just had to do it manually.
So from a streaming point of view, because I remembered that was the prompt that we were trying to get to. I mean,
look, as long as the gameplay is kind of, as long as it's watchable enough and that people can react to it.
Now, do you remember the TV, not the TV show, the movie Stay Tuned?
John Ritter?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, I do. Did he go into the TV and then as changed channels, he'd be in all different places?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yes.
I love that idea of you get sent by your father to, change the channel, so you're manually changing the channel, and you get sucked into the tube.
Right. I mean, it's a big tube.
It's a big tube.
Dad shelled out for the big
Dad turned
50
it on.
inch.
Dad turned it on before you'd actually moved it to the new thing, and you got sucked into the
Right. The light just started spraying out everywhere.
Yep, and you got
blinding
sucked in,
you, and you
went back to the station, but it didn't kill you. It turns out that if you get sucked into the tube in this sort of thing,
kind of like Wonka Vision.
Yeah,
you get turned into a million pieces, transferred through the tube, and then reconstructed in the TV station.
And it turns out that you were not the first person who had this happen. And all the game shows and stuff that you watch.
Yep.
That, I love seeing this person, get hurt in Takeshi's castle or whatever it is. It's like, these are actual people who have been sucked into the tube, and it's like the game is, trying to escape from a Fall Guys-esque sort of thing, but it's more of a single player.
Do you remember? Did you ever see that show? And it's based on his book series called Finders Keepers.
Oh, yeah, I kind of remember that.
It just reminded me of that. It was about like a kid who, goes into a TV. It's like a specific TV in a TV store that at a certain time shows this game show called Finders Keepers. And it's essentially stuff from this universe that gets lost ends up there. And I can't remember. I don't know. There's a whole game show. But anyway, probably irrelevant to this. Just a bit of a core memory there coming back. Because I read the books and also there was the show. Australian series. Anyway, but yes, I guess what was similar is like recurring characters on the game show, but they're actually, they're in this TV world.
And the idea of being that you're now stuck in rotation. Or, as I call it here, syndication.
You've been syndicated.
Exactly. See, that doesn't really make sense to the Australian listeners of this podcast, but to the Americans, they'll go, syndication. Yeah, that's a thing that happens
I think anyone old enough, it was a bit different here, but I think anyone old enough understood the idea of syndication.
Yeah.
But so if you win the game show, if you win like the whole thing, do you get to escape? Do they send you back out?
I think it's kind of like the Running Man.
That's like the goal. Yeah.
you effectively, that's the way to escape.
Yeah. The only way out is to win.
Well, the only way out is actually to shut down the whole TV network because the tubes, like the way that it actually works, and the reason why you're now back at the TV stations, I realized that, no, the light should have been going out. It's a vacuum. It's the vacuum, so it's sort of vacuums you up so it can send the light down. If you shut down all TVs, like everyone can escape by crawling out of the tubes.
Gotcha. So the end of the game is just all these people crawling out of these huge fibre optic cables and the light out into the sunlight that they haven't seen in decades.
Yeah, and then someone's dad turns on the TV and someone gets sucked in again.
It's time for the footy. Which has to be played like in a studio too. All right. I think that's the end of our episode. If you'd like to listen to any of our previous episodes, go to podchaser.com/bitstorm. They're all up there. And if you're a streamer and you want to play any of these games, you can't. We just made them up. But
you can make the game.
Make the game if you want. Someone
maybe
can make it.
A bigger streamer by making the game. Like that. That's a thing that happens.
Totally. Yeah. Do it.
If you like the song that we play at the start and end of each episode, well, there's a whole album of songs that you can check out while you're making this game. And that album is called Containment Failure by the band Dust. This song is the last one on there, Mount Defiance.
That's right. Very good coding or, development background music for sure.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
For